Assalamu alaikum, Masa al khair. I'm Afrah. I'm Emirati. I confuse a lot of people that way. I am so honored and so thrilled to be standing here and to be following so many brilliant acts. And yes, she did stalk me. She sent me an email and she's like, Afrah, I saw you, I think you're amazing. And then she goes, oh, I saw you at the open mic. And like, if you get an email from someone saying that they saw you somewhere, you're kind of like, nah, weirdo. But it turned out to be a good thing because Shara actually kind of adopted me and I kind of adopted them and I love them and they're amazing. If you haven't checked them out, you need to check them out. She's making hearts at you. Stop. The reason I'm so excited, and I'm a spoken word artist, I'm a slam poet. I'm actually the only female Emirati slam poet and spoken word artist. So I like to think that I'm making strides and doing something new. Just before we start, show of hands, how many of you ever felt like you don't fit in? There's like 9 people in the audience, okay? The rest of you, I'm assuming you felt like you fit in, and maybe this talk doesn't apply to you, but obviously with my last poem, you know that I was bullied in school for being different, for being who I am. And the thing about spoken word is that it's so universal that it transcends all of that. Spoken word has, which is, sorry I didn't explain this earlier, but it's poetry that's meant to be experienced and listened to and seen live. I tell people I'm not a page poet, I'm a stage poet. Obviously a couple of you guys think I'm good on stage, so that's good for me, but I also do competitive spoken word, which is slam poetry. And one of the things that it's helped me with is it's helped me confront a lot of these issues. Before I did that poem, which is a poem, by the way, I won the slam championship with that poem. There's another one coming up on the 20th, so I'm gonna need some support. But I won with that, and that was the first time that I had actually vocalized that issue. It was the first time I had said something about being bullied or being different or the stuff that had happened to me. And surprisingly, and this is the amazing thing about spoken word poetry, is that once I was done, all of these people came up to me and they said, you know, we've been through something similar. I was teased because I was overweight. I was teased because I was different. I was teased because of this. And it started, you know, these are people, you look at them and you don't know their stories. And this is one of the things that I love about doing what I do, is getting to tell my story. I was actually the Shara team, I was thinking about like coming up with a really good introduction. And then I thought to myself, introductions are kind of like very awkward job interviews. And if any of you have had the misfortune or the fortune to be on the receiving end of that, you know where I'm going with this. But I was trying to think of something clever to say, and I said, well, you know, in a job interview, they sit you down in this room that looks like a cop TV show interrogation room, and you're thinking about ودونكم ورا الشمس, and they look at you, and they say, you know, so, tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, and they're looking at the words and their papers, and they're looking at you, and I think to myself, like, you have my CV. You have my cover letter, you know about me. But, so that's kind of where I'm going with this, because there are these awkward job interviews, and introductions are kind of the same thing. You need to get to know people, you need to make a good impression, you don't want anyone to think that you're a weirdo. I'm looking at you. But you know, with the job interview, they say, tell us a little bit about yourself, and I think, oh my God, Afrah, please say something smart. Say something intelligent, you can do this. And I probably say something like, well, I speak English, Arabic, and fluent sarcasm. If I have coffee, I'll be up for 2 days, and I take the Batman versus Superman debate very, very seriously. And sometimes I answer questions. Yeah, Team Batman. Sometimes, there you go. Sometimes I answer questions with way too much information, and my poetry is me giving way too much information, but it's about making that, connection. One of the things, I never thought I would actually be speaking at a university. I'm currently doing my PhD at UAE University, and it's kind of because I like the idea that people are going to call me Doctora. You know? So it's going to be like, the poet, Dr. Afrah. It sounds kind of good. And I'm also a full-time poet. I like to think I'm a full-time poet. But the reason why I never thought I would be talking at a university is because I was never good at school. If someone came up to me while I was at school and said, Afrah, in 2016, you're going to be stalked, and then they're going to invite you to come and talk at TEDx at a university, at a major university, I would have said, yeah, okay. And I was never good in school. And the thing is, they drill it into your heads that you have to be good in school. You have to be an A student. You have to be an A+ student. You got to get 90s. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to go get a good job. And I was never good in school. I always wanted to be a doctor. I didn't have the grades to become a doctor, and I'm thankful that I didn't become a doctor. But when I went to university, they changed my life, and they told me that you don't have to be the person that you were in school. So I ended up graduating with a 3.96. I got my master's degree. I got a 4.0. I met His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, who also made me promise that I was going to be the best that I could be at all times, and that's kind of a philosophy that I have. But I think poetry has this stigma. I mean, when you guys heard that a poet was coming, I'm sure some of you were expecting someone to stand here and be like, and I took the book with the hook, and I didn't give it a second look, and I was shook. And that's, I think, the idea that a lot of people have about poetry. And I was fortunate enough to do a workshop in the Western region, في الغربية, and I walked in there and I was met with the biggest number of blank stares I've ever seen in my life. So I walked in there, I said I'm a poet, and they kind of look at me going like, okay. So I asked one of the girls, I said, well, what kind of a poem would you like to hear? And she says, I want to hear a love poem. A love poem. And I don't do love poems. When I started doing spoken word, I did things that were really angry. You can see that in some of my earlier work. You can talk to my parents, they'll tell you I was really angry. But I've only written one love poem, and I feel like I'm feeling the love in the room. And you guys have been so amazing to myself and the other speakers. So I'm going to do a love poem for you. So if you would be so inclined to indulge me and listen to my love poem, which is semi-memorized, I'm going to read it and recite it, but that's okay. So this is my love poem. And please clap, snap, stand up. If you agree with what I'm saying, if you like what I'm saying, if you don't like what I'm saying, I need this. Spoken word is as much about the audience as it is about the poet. So this is my one and only love poem to the love of my life. Dear food. Dear food, I can't get enough of you. I love the way you melt every time you see me. I love the way you love me. I love the way you don't judge me after a long day at work and I don't want to talk. You know just the right flavors to hit the spot. You make me want to leave everything that is sane and abandon all rationality. Dear food, you make me realize that my dream job is being a taste tester in the test kitchen on the Food Network. You make me want to get a pet dog so I can name him Ronald. Yes, as in Ronald McDonald, as in I'll have the McChicken with extra cheese, and please don't skimp on the fries, dear food. You are the addiction I can't possibly deny, a spinning vortex of doom that makes me look forward to the ride. Dear food, I wish you didn't make me fat. Dear food, I tried on my jeans last night, but I couldn't close the zipper. I jumped up and down, but they only got tighter. I sucked in my gut till I felt like my entrails were touching my back, and it did not work. Dear food, I'm now seeing your effect on me. Dear food, they said I should try low-fat cheese on brown bread. I tried it once, but I couldn't get past the smell, so I put it down and ate a brownie instead. Dear food, you're my bestest best friend. You've seen me at my worst, but still greet me with open arms. In the end, dear food, forget the jeans. I think it's time to wear dresses. It's almost summer, dear food. I'm now seeing your effect on me, dear food. We need to talk. Dear food, I want to cover all the mirrors in the house because I can't stand looking at myself in them. Dear food, 3 flights of stairs got the best of me and the models are staring at me in magazines. Dear food, it's not you, it's me, dear food. I hope we can still be friends. I think you're a really great person, dear food. Sometimes billboards make me sad. Sometimes I wish the longing would stop, dear food. I miss the me that I was when we were together, dear food. I think we should stop seeing each other, dear food. I forget why I'm writing this and now I want a sandwich, preferably grilled cheese, dear food. How have you been? It's been nearly 6 months. 13.5 kilos later, 3 flights of stairs are nothing, dear food. I still love you, but I know we were meant to part ways, dear food. This is my last song. This is my golden goal after extra time, dear food. I guess this is goodbye. Assalamu alaikum. So an important thing to note about that is you'll be happy to know that food and I are back together. We've gained a collective of 5 kilos. We're back together. The diet and the exercise tried to break us up, but we pulled through. We're still going strong. But we've heard a lot of people, and this is what I love to do. I love to make people laugh with my poetry, and I love to make people think with my poetry. And Dear Food, it's actually, no one knows what it's called, but it's called I Could Never Love You. And people come up to me and go, oh, well, do the food poem, do the food poem. And I'm like, what food poem? And I know it is something else, but I love the reaction when I tell people that it's my love poem and I start talking about food and people love it and everyone's into it. And then I start talking about body image and then people there's this awkward silence and you're like, okay, they were laughing. Do I go on? Do I let it go? But the thing is, I am able to talk about all of these issues through spoken word. And we've heard a lot on this stage about being local and being global and globalization. And I think there's nothing, at least for me, there is nothing more global than spoken word poetry. And it has this ability to transcend borders, to transcend ideas, to just reach the common thread of humanity that I think that we all have. I also talk a lot about, I mean, not my earlier angry stuff, but I also talk a lot about social issues. And I always tell people that I get asked 3 questions. The first is, what are we having for dinner or lunch, depending on what time it is? The second question is, where are you from, which I answered in the first question. The third question is, Afrah, why aren't you married? And it's a valid question. I mean, I think I'm a catch. I'm still not married, but this is my response to that. And one of the things that I really like about this whole global thing is that I used to do exclusively English poetry, and then I started introducing Arabic Emirati words specifically, and doing fusion poetry. And one of my friends was telling me, he says, Afrah, why don't you do English and Arabic poetry? And I said, well, it's supposed to be either this or that. Like, don't make me do something in the middle. People already don't like me enough. And he looks at me and he says, but Afrah, that's the way you talk. That's who you are. Why are you afraid of who you are? And I thought, oh, interesting concept. So this is my response to that. I'm noticing that there have been, in the last couple of 20 minutes, there have been a lot of guys that have come in. So some of this stuff is going to sound kind of foreign to the guys in the audience. The girls in the audience, I'm sure you've all gone through this. But just a disclaimer to the boys, this is actually what goes on. This is actually what we go through. So, the only thing worse than finding 25, I kid you not, 25 missed calls from one of my parents is one of my parents telling me, Afrah, your cousin's getting married. And it's not that I'm opposed to weddings or marriages, it's just that instead of hearing the wedding zephyr, I hear my name on the auction block over and over again because it's not so much a wedding as it is a marriage market. As soon as someone tells you that someone in your family is getting married, your life becomes a show on display. Touch the screen for more info. Double tap to like and approve. Scroll down to scrutinize my every move, and screenshot to mock me at your next gathering. These expectations of women and marriage have become shocking. If a girl is over 20 and unmarried, she's way past her expiry date. Afrah, تراش بتعنسينه على فكرة, nobody likes a crazy cat lady. Women get shamed and shunned by a society that keeps them caged at the wedding between Ahmed saying, فلانة بنت فلان get married, فلانة بنت فلان get divorced. Divorce! I can't believe. And Nasser replying saying, تراهم كانوا يبون اختي حق ولدتهم بس رفضت. أصلاً يقولون هالرجال مو زين. I heard he's already been married twice with a mistress on the side. Gossip quickly spreads around the table like wildfire, tongues like matches, words like gasoline. Obscene comments commence. Awash, I apologize if anyone's named Awash here. Awash is wearing a lot of makeup. Hey, nobody likes a girl whose face is too much. Hamda isn't wearing any makeup. Nobody likes a girl whose face isn't too much. Wafa wears glasses, obviously overeducated and overqualified, but nobody likes a girl who thinks too much. Shamma is stressed, gained 2 kilos, and everyone noticed. Afrah stressed, lost about 20 kilos. No one noticed. أصلاً هاي مسوية قص معدة وما تبغى تقول. I heard she had secret gastric bypass. No matter what a girl does, nothing can compare to the grandeur of marriage. No achievement can award ambition. والله كملتي PhD وصرتي دكتورة? No husband? Why no husband? ما شاء الله صرتي مديرة وزيرة وسفيرة؟ متى بنفرح فيك؟ Why still no husband? You good? Why no husband? We spend so much time worrying about what other people are doing, pointless conversations about people. استريحوا وبتيكم الدلة, I promise. وش علي أنا من الناس؟ وش علي أنا من الناس؟ وش على الناس مني؟ Woo! Because it comes up, and it's like you go to a graduation, they see you in your graduation robe and it's all fancy. Like, you go to someone's house and you know you walk in and you've cooked something and you take it in. They go like, it's a common thread. It's something that I talk about a lot. And I like to kind of make them funny. I don't like doing things that are overly dramatic because they make me. I feel like there's already enough sadness and anger in the world. Let's not amplify that with sad and angry poems. But one of the things that I talk about a lot is I'm very proud of being a 90s kid. I like that nobody had that they were a 90s kid. I'm sure there are 90s kids in the audience, but I'm very proud that I was a 90s kid. I'm very proud that I was a 90s kid because I think that things were more authentic, and in terms of doing things that are local, I think a lot of people equate that with development and with changing and with fast pace. And I think every once in a while it's nice to go back and just remember the good old days. So this is me remembering the good old days. أنا إذا شسمة بتصل فيك وأنت إذا هذا تعال نمشي تعبت ونياس تعال نيلس تعبت ونياس نمشي جملتين لم يفهمها الشعب العربي. When I think about childhood, I think about innocence. I think about backyard swings and tire things, the good old days, أيام الطيبين. It's been more than 10 years since I've seen the inside of a classroom. Please don't ask me how old I am. More than 15 since I've seen a blackboard and chalk. I remember the days we had a blackboard and chalk. I remember when if you couldn't talk the talk, you needed to walk the walk in the playground. I remember when you couldn't wait to get to 4th grade because that meant you didn't have to write with pencils. You were then upgraded to pens. I remember when أكبر همنا كان إنك ما تقدر تكتب فوق الكاركتر بقلم حبر لازم قلم جاف. Passing notes in class, are you my friend? Circle yes or no, circle yes or no. I always wrote maybe. Back in the days when punishment was Afrah, go to the back of the class, stand in the corner, turn around, take 1 foot off the ground and stay there. And I would stand there, defiant, hissing like a snake, and as soon as the teacher would turn around, I would say, Ustad Ahmed, Tara, no one cares about calculus. And nothing says embarrassment quite like your first username. And yes, I'm looking at you because I said you to him, Weekends were for TV shows, at birthday parties. No one paused when the cake with Captain Majid or Ninja Turtles came around to say, wait, I need to snap this. We learned about relationships from Corey and Topanga, and let's face it, everyone wanted to have an Uncle Jesse. Entertainment meant watching TVs and not counting likes. Drama was Bold and the Beautiful if you were allowed to stay up. We watched VHS on tiny screens, and Will Smith was the freshest of Fresh Prince. And I love the Fresh Prince. We played Atari.
Yeah.
My dear Atari, Xbox has nothing on you, and iPad can't compare with your worth. You were better than Sega, PS2, 3, 4, Nintendo Cube, N64, all rolled into one. And my favorite song always started with dun 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 dun. Nokia phones taught us about pain. What it says, some text may be missing, something may be missing, stricken from the record. For the record, I think it's okay that Zayn left One Direction. I don't understand what these millennials are complaining about. We survived the breakup of Boyzone, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears, and Justin Timberlake. We remember when once upon a time Justin Timberlake had hair. Because we were 90s kids. We were the kings and queens of inventions. We were the generations of tape recorders before there were Walkmans, before there were MP3s and DVDs. We were the knights of nighttime. Are you afraid of the dark? We were the Saved by the Bells that may or may not have had the matching graphic t-shirts, and also ones that had Spice Girls on them. We were the gene of Crystal Maze and floppy disks. We have memories stored on viewfinders. We were the birthday parties in Hardee's. We are the افتح يا سمسم أبوابك نحن الأطفال. We are the هيئ إلى المناهج. The أطفال have now become the أبطال, a force to be reckoned with for all the world to see. We are جيل الطيبين. And I want to leave you with something. My final thought on this is, there are always going to be people that tell you that you can't do something. Okay, for me it's, Afrah, you're going on stage, there's men in the audience, or you're a poet, that's not a career, it's not going to make you money, it really doesn't make you money. But there are always going to be people that try to put you down, and there are always going to be haters. And I heard something the other day, this guy was saying, well, I don't know, you leave me negative comments, I don't know if you're a hater or you're a confused fan. So there are always going to be haters, and there were lots of people that told me I couldn't be a poet, and I'm going to leave you with my final poem about that. Who's like, someone knows what I'm going to do. You know what poem I'm going to do. This is just to everyone, I think, that has ever been told that they can't do something, or that they shouldn't do something, or aib or mangud, or whatever it is that they tell you. I've never been good with numbers or names. Or remembering where I parked. I can't match your name to your face, but I can tell you exactly what I was thinking about eating when we met. You were a cheeseburger and I was a salad, but who am I kidding? I don't eat salads. They say there is no equation for the number of times you will try and fail. Failure is the product of effort and imagination divided by the number of setbacks. I am not good with numbers. You said I was your 7. I was your perfect prime number, not divisible, undeniable. You said 7. It was 7 times I'd look for you before I realized you weren't coming back 9 times. I replayed the song you strummed on your guitar. When you played me, you played me. 4 years since the last time I looked in the mirror and saw who I thought I was. 5 is the number of years I spent in college. 11 is the number of guys who graduated because of me, who would never know or see a college degree without help from me. It was the 2nd of August, 2013. 2 plus 8 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 3 is 16. The year I learned that friendship sinks and not every hand held out is a hand worth holding. Last time I held a hand, she was in a hospital room getting ready to die. Death doesn't scare me. Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty still scares me, and I can't get over it even if I tried. Believe me, I tried to play by the rules, but that's a lie. Lies go full circle like pupils dilating, like dialing on an old-fashioned telephone. 05054. I still remember your phone number, but I can never let it ring, so instead I settle for the dial tone. 12 is how old I was the first time I ever felt unbeautiful, because he said I was. 21 is 12 backwards, the year I learned that my thinking was backwards. Words cut stranger shapes from strangers' words. Letters, A's, B's, C's, D's, D's, D's. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Ruby shoes, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Each number bears a significance that we cannot see until we experience that instance when we realize who we are and why we are them. I remember you said I could never be a poet because I'd never be able to rhyme 100 words together, and you're right. I can't give you 100 words, instead I'll give you 255. Here's 200, just because, and 55 for good measure for every time you told me my words wouldn't take me anywhere. Hand in hand, holding, floating, toting, telling truth, no use, lies find no time, lies don't fly sky high, you and I not seeing eye to eye. Everyone is said to be no good for me. Whenever we never walked together, drifting apart is my art. Words are my brush, hush, don't say a word. A picture's worth 1,000 words, unheard, absurd. I remember rains as plains as the trains of my thought, that we bought a penny for your thoughts, a penny for the many times these lies untied the notion. We fought to find a solution for inclusion and clearing the confusion. I remember September, before that last December, when we spin, splint, splash, bash, lash out, speak out, live outside the box, unlock the lock, stop, drop, stop. I remember you said I could never be a poet because I could never put 100 words together, but I've never been good with numbers. Thank you, TEDx AUS.